What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Round 21 AFL preview. We are gonna have these for the rest of this season. I know I went MIA for like a minute with these, like over a month without these, but we're back. I promise you guys we're back with these. So it's gonna be quick, it's not gonna be too long because I know everybody has stuff to do, get ready for the game, stuff like that. I have to get ready to leave soon. But obviously, we're gonna look at the upcoming fixtures are also most importantly the ladder. So the ladder has changed a lot, and I mean a lot since we last recorded one of these. But I have been keeping track of the AFL. I have been keeping track of the AFL. First thing first, I gotta talk about my boys from Brisbane. Probably the highest team in the league. Winners of like 8 straight. Big game against this week against St. Kilda. But there are a lot of pretty big games. But shout out to the dogs from Brisbane. Brisbane Lions, absolutely amazing. Took them long enough to really get going. Even dealing with all the defensive injuries we have, but stepping up. I see you Lucky Neal, McCluggage, Charlie Cameron, Joe Danaher, and Cam Rayner and stuff, and the rest of the fellas. Absolutely, I've been stepping up. Most important, Cam Rayner in that midfield. Very, very excited for the end of the season. I know we start off shit. We start off shitty this season, but took them long to really get going. They have submitted themselves into the top 8. It's still not officially done yet because we still have like 4 more rounds left. But the way they have been playing, we should be assuring that they are going to make the top 8. Obviously, Sydney have also last 4 out of 5, and I've been listening to like the AFL All Access with like Barnett. I think that's Lloyd, and I forgot the lady's name. My apologies, but they talked about like Sydney's inability for like their front line to score. Really, obviously, Warner and Heaney stuff in them, but they've also lost 4 out of 5, and obviously they lost last week against the Western Bulldogs. They have lost to Brisbane, close game, lost to St. Kilda, and obviously they lost to Freo. So they've lost a lot of close games, but they also lost 4 out of 5. They have not been playing well the last few weeks. They need to get going against Port Adelaide, but we are going to get to those matchups as well. But Sydney slowly losing that top spot, probably from like Brisbane or Freo. But hey, hopefully Sydney can get right because I actually do like Sydney. I did have Sydney to win it all this year, early on in the season. But the way that they've been playing, never say never. They could always get right and really show how good they are. But they gotta get going. They gotta get back to what they were doing earlier in the season. Now Freo is probably the most surprising team from me, the winners of the last 4 out of 5, playing the Bombers have absolutely shit the bed the last few weeks. They beat West Coast, they beat Melbourne. It seems like Melbourne I've been getting their ass kicked a lot this season. Now it seems like Melbourne have been getting beat pretty good this season. Obviously not in the top 8, older team as well. But same thing as the Bombers. Bombers are an old team as well. Peter Wright, Jake Stranger, and stuff like them. Obviously losing to Freo. I'm sorry. Beating Sydney. But shout out to Freo, man. Very, very, very impressed by them this season. I haven't really watched much of them, so I can't really say too much about them. But shout out to Freo again. Right, Carlton are still in the mix. Lost tough game last week. 12-7. And you see, like, it's pretty. We have some like diversity. Like the top 8 is not just like we have like the top 8 is really, really close. Like even from like 4th to 8th, there's only like a 4-point difference. So that can change every single week. I mean, every single week, that top 8 can be changing, especially like I said, from 4th to 8th. Carlton holding on to that 4th spot. GWS, who have now won 4 straight, they're starting to get going again. Geelong staying in there again, old team as well, but staying in there. Port Adelaide, 7 wins the last 4 to 5. But you see at the top 8, a lot of the teams in there have won like the last 4 to 5, 3 out of 5, or if you're like Brisbane, you win about 8 straight games. And then lastly, Western Bulldogs have finally turned that inconsistency into a bit of some consistency and are back in the top 8. And I've said it all season, Hawthorn, one of the best teams since like the middle of the season. But most importantly, probably the most surprising team this season. I've said with them, I expect them to take elite this year. You can go back to the old videos. I said that. And Hawthorn have taken that step this year. Obviously with Jack Ginnivan, just the young fellas, they are playing a lot better. Even with a big win against Collingwood the past week or so. Absolutely outstanding from Hawthorn. They are pushing into that top 8. I'm hoping they can make it. I'd love them to make it, but we are going to see. Like I said about the Bombers, have just crapped the bed. Melbourne just been disappointed this season. Collingwood have 2 draws this season. Again, they just have not gotten going this season. Like, there's times you can see it, but when was the last time a team that won the finals didn't make it in the top 8? Not like that's crazy. That's crazy. And like a lot of people were really high on Collingwood last season. They were phenomenal. This season has not been that. Gold Coast just mediocre. Just consistency mediocre. Just like that. St. Kilda, like I said, it's just been very disappointing season. I'm not really talking much about them. Adelaide, again, just not great. Back-to-back seasons, just not great. Not great from Adelaide. West Coast, North Melbourne, Richmond, and I seem like Bolton potentially leaving. I'm not sure how if he is, but I've seen like Nick Bolton potentially leaving. Richmond Tigers potentially in the off season. Hey, I mean that losing takes a toll on you, man. You know, at least Richmond and North Melbourne both have like 2 wins, and West Coast, but I always hate it for them. I always hate it for them. I always hate it for teams who, can't even get double-digit points. But listen, we still have like 3 or 4 more rounds left until the end of the season. So hopefully North Melbourne and Richmond can get into that double-digit of points. I expect that they are. I could be wrong. They could lose every freaking game. Knowing like West Coast, especially West Coast this season, and North Melbourne, they can get their ass kicked almost any game. Well, Richmond is at that point too. But just looking at Richmond, they've gotten beat by Collingwood, got beat by Port. GWS is beating them. Freo, they've been getting their ass kicked, actually. Golly. They've been getting their butts kicked. Jeez. Damn. Jeez, but dang. And also one of the worst scoring teams in the league as well. So, but as we advance on to the next tab, big games this upcoming weekend. Like I said, we have Western Bulldogs, aka Footscray, against Melbourne. Melbourne got to get going, but the Western Bulldogs have shown some consistency. I got the Western Bulldogs being Melbourne just to add just more misery onto that Melbourne team. Maybe we see some change with them in the offseason, but as of right now, it's not looking great. West Coast against the Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast are not as bad as West Coast, but Gold Coast are just inconsistent and just not that great of a team. I'm not really sure why. Like I said, that's probably the only team I barely follow. But I got West Coast beating them. North Melbourne against Richmond. And you talk about the Battle of Mid. I thought last season when we see North Melbourne against West Coast, that was the Battle of Mid. This is the Battle of Mid right here. This is probably going to be the best game all week, just because it's 2 bad teams and somebody is going to have double-digit points. I'm happy about that. Unless they somehow draw. But one of these teams is going to have at least double-digit points in the season. And to be honest, I got North Melbourne beating them. I think North Melbourne just resigned one of their key guys as well. I've seen that online. It's like 2029. Geelong against Adelaide Crows. Adelaide just disappointing. Geelong are trying to keep it up in the top 8 to have some momentum entering the finals. I got Geelong being Adelaide. Collingwood against Carlton. Now, I feel like if Carlton beats Collingwood, that just basically may just stamp it for Collingwood for good on the season. They could win the last 3 games, but if Carlton shows why they're the best goal scorer in the game in Charlie Curnow, and they come out and beat Collingwood convincingly, easily, that may just be it for Collingwood in the season. You guys don't know about that. Port Adelaide against Sydney Swans. Sydney, like I say, they've been disappointed the last few weeks. Loses the last 4 at 5 against Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide have been hot, but a lot better. I think this is the game Sydney can turn it around, but it's going to be at the Adelaide Oval. Home game for Port Adelaide, but I think Sydney have got to win this game, because if not, Brisbane's going to be on their heels, and then Brisbane have a pretty easy game this week. GWS against Hawthorn. I got the Hawthorn Hawks. I'm riding the train, baby. I am on the Hawthorn train. I believe it. I'm with it. I'm seeing the vision with them. I got Hawthorn beating GWS. The Bombers against Frio. Last 2 games on Sunday. Like I said, Frio, I've seen bits and pieces. Bombers have just been free falling. I got Frio being them. And then lastly, St. Clear against Brisbane. The way Brisbane have been playing, especially offensively, very, very close game against Sydney, but very convincing win last week. The boys are going to get it done. St. Kilda, who, like I think I mentioned a few times, were really good offensively last season. This season has not been the case. Brisbane coming in hot, are coming in here and they're going to beat St. Kilda, and that is my preview and predictions for the upcoming round. Where did I go wrong? Where did I go right? Did I look stupid? Did I look smart? You guys let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.